Dragonball Evolution, 2016. Luigi couldn't help but be moved by what he saw, a rare mix of skill and mercy, and in the end, he decided to spare both of their lives. Later, as they talked aboard the ship, Edmund opened up to the captain and shared his entire story, every painful detail of it. Moved by what he heard, the captain set Edmund free, giving him the chance to finally chase down the revenge he had been dreaming of for years. Jacopo had not forgotten that Edmund once saved his life, and he made a solemn promise that day he would stand by Edmund forever, loyal no matter what. Before dealing with the personal matters weighing on his mind, Edmund asked Jacopo to get a boat ready for them. That same night, under the cover of darkness, Edmund quietly made his way to the house of his old master. But the years had changed everything. His former master looked right through him, not recognizing him at all. It was there that Edmund learned the devastating truth. His father had died of grief, unable to bear the pain of his son's imprisonment. The news hit him like a blow to the chest, but nothing shattered him more than the next discovery. It was his own friend, Mondego, who had betrayed him and set him up all those years ago. And as if that wasn't enough, Mondego had gone on to marry the very woman Edmund had once been engaged to. An old map led them to a hidden mark on a remote island, and Edmund and Jacopo searched every corner of it, but there was no trace of any treasure. Just when it seemed like a dead end, a thought crossed Edmund's mind. What if the treasure wasn't buried in the ground at all, but hidden beneath the water? Following the spot marked on the map, he dove into a hidden underground pool, and there, at last, he found what he was looking for, a collection of old, weathered chests. The moment he pried one open, gold spilled out, gleaming even in the dim light. Jacopo could hardly contain his excitement and began loading as much gold as the boat could carry. But the truth was, this was only a fraction of the fortune. Moving all of it would require a much larger ship. Yet for Edmund, the gold brought no real joy. The fire of revenge still burned far hotter inside him than any thrill of wealth. He made up his mind that this fortune would serve only one purpose, clearing the path toward the vengeance he had waited so long for. With his newfound riches, Edmund purchased a magnificent estate and introduced himself to society as a newly arrived nobleman of France. He began hosting extravagant parties, inviting the elite and wealthy families of the region into his grand home. Word of his lavish gatherings and regal style spread quickly, and soon his name was on everyone's lips. The aristocracy grew curious about this mysterious new figure, but in truth, all of it was a carefully laid trap designed purely to draw the attention of the man who had betrayed him, Mondego. Yet, to Edmund's frustration, Mondego left one such gathering without ever speaking to him. Meanwhile, Mercedes, Edmund's former fiancée, now Mondego's wife, found herself in a difficult position, unable to secure funds from anywhere else. It was around this time that Jacopo brought Edmund an important piece of information. Mondego had a son, Albert. Seizing the opportunity, Edmund enlisted the help of a clever woman and a group of his associates to stage a fake kidnapping of Albert, all so that Edmund himself could swoop in and play the role of his rescuer. The plan worked perfectly. Albert was convinced that this stranger had genuinely saved his life. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he insisted that Edmund attend his upcoming birthday celebration. Edmund feigned a bit of reluctance at first, but eventually agreed to come. It was at that very party that Albert introduced his father, Mondego, to Edmund, the two men standing face to face for the first time in 13 years. So much had changed about Edmund's appearance that Mondego didn't recognize him at all. Villefort, a deeply corrupt magistrate, held the local police firmly under his control. After hearing what Edmund had to say, Villefort conspired with Mondego to seize Edmund's treasure before it could even reach its destination, planning to split the stolen gold between themselves. Mondego mentioned that there was another man who could help them pull this off, and in a twist of fate, this same trio of men had been responsible for having Edmund thrown into prison in the first place. Edmund had deliberately maneuvered all three of them into the same place, setting his revenge into motion. Once the party came to an end, word reached Edmund that Mondego had betrayed him yet again, claiming that Edmund had been executed. Fearing this false story might unravel his carefully built plan, Edmund made sure to keep his true intentions hidden for the time being. Before delivering the final blow to his enemy, Edmund made certain to reveal his true identity so that the man would understand exactly which sin he was paying for with his life. Next in Edmund's sights was Magistrate Villefort. Years earlier, this same magistrate had used a letter tied to Napoleon to frame Edmund and have him imprisoned. It turned out that Villefort's own father had been a Napoleon supporter, but driven by his hunger for power, Villefort had arranged his own father's death and pinned the blame squarely on Edmond. Now, with careful and calculated conversation, Edmond managed to draw the entire confession out of Villefort's own mouth. Villefort spoke freely, confident that Edmond had no way to prove any of it, but he didn't realize that police officers were already hidden in the room, listening to every word. The moment he finished, they moved in and took him into custody. Meanwhile, Mondego, now financially ruined, was preparing to make his escape. He rushed to the fortress where he had hidden away all the treasure he'd stolen, but when the chests were finally opened, they held nothing but sand. The very last chest contained only a single small chess piece, the same one Mondego had once given to Edmond himself. At that exact moment, Edmond appeared, and Mondego instantly understood who he was truly facing. Consumed by rage, Mondego drew his sword and attacked. But he was no match for Edmond's skill. With ease, Edmond disarmed him and pinned him against the wall. Just as he was about to strike the final blow, Albert rushed in between them, pleading that he would not let his father die this way. Mondego used that brief distraction to secretly load his pistol with powder and shot. Then, mounting his horse, Mondego launched a ferocious attack, and in the struggle, Edmond's sword was knocked from his grip. For a moment it looked as though Mondego might actually win. But in the end, Edmond found a way to bring him down and delivered the fatal strike. Mondego died right there on the spot. With his long-burning thirst for revenge finally satisfied, Edmond returned to his wife, determined that no one else would ever have to endure the suffering he once did. Dragonball Evolution 2016.